What does mud have to do with lament and grief? Well, we're going to talk about that today. Hi, I'm Heidi with Heidi Stabled, and you have reached my page where we get to talk about all things neuroscience, faith, spirituality, art, and social justice. But today we're going to take a little journey into the topic of grief and lament through a word picture. So we're going to combine the spirituality, the mental health, and the art today. So if this is of interest to you, give me a follow. Be sure to follow along, save this video, and even better, share this with somebody that you think might benefit. So I was studying a passage in Psalms today, or this week, and we were talking about the topic of, like I said, lament and grief. And let me read you the passage and then we'll talk about it. So it comes from Psalms 13, and it is to the lead player, a David psalm. How long, O Lord, will you forget me always? How long will you hide your face from me? How long shall I cast about for counsel, sorrow in my heart all day long? How long will my enemy loom over me? Regard, answer me, Lord my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep death, lest my enemy say, I've prevailed over him, lest my foes exult when I stumble. But I, in your kindness, do trust. My heart exults in your rescue. Let me sing to the Lord, for he requited me. Now, what I want you to pick up there in this verse is something of interest. How much of that passage was dedicated to grief, to pain, to crying out, to lament, and how much of that was dedicated to the happy ending, so to speak? There are 6 verses, and I will tell you 5 of those verses were focused on lament and grief. And this is a man, David, who they said was a man after God's own heart. And the other thing I want you to ask yourself or notice is how quickly there was a turnaround. He went from desperation of like wailing and crying and freaking out basically to, well, I trust God, yay, blah, 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 blah. And this happy-go-lucky, like, okay, where's the in-between? And I like to think there was a long pause in between those two sentiments. This is actually a common structure for Psalms in the Old Testament, so that's not surprising. But I think it would be incorrect and not contextual to just assume that he's writing out in his journal one day, grieving, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, but I'm so thankful, I trust you, God, because that is not how human beings normally work. And I think that is an important point to how God gives us permission to sit in grief and lament when shit happens. And, but that sometimes, not always, sometimes there is a turnaround. There is a silver lining. There is positivity. And I want you to hear me clearly, that doesn't always happen. And there is some really, really, really hard crap that happens. Death and divorce and abuse and addiction and all sorts of really crappy stuff. And I want you to hear me on this because I think so often from behind the pulpit, our church tends to just focus on that last verse and gets us or wants us to spiritually bypass that grief and that pain because somehow maybe they don't think God can handle our pain. But you know what? God can handle anything, our pain, our grief, our doubt. He just doesn't want us to live there, right? And that I think is the lesson in it. And this is where the word picture came in. So there was this time when I was in Hawaii and went on this excursion to experience a mud bath, a volcanic mud bath. And they were dripping from head to toe in this really goopy mud, like just see the whites of our eyes. And it was touted as having like these cleansing properties, these detoxification properties, and heck, you can go to a spa and spend hundreds of dollars for like a mud wrap or whatever to pull that stuff out. But that will never work unless you sit in the mud long enough. And I was thinking about how that relates to this verse, that there are 5 of the 6 verses that focus on this, and making sure that we are giving ourselves time to just grieve and sit in what it is that we are experiencing, not trying to spiritually bypass it, not trying to explain it away or Pollyanna it, or put some pretty bow or platitude or Bible verse on it, because that doesn't help. That's never helped anybody. We shouldn't stay there. And we will keep returning to this place unless we sit with it and transmute it and get it out of our bodies, literally, because our bodies keep the score. That grief, that pain, that abuse, that thing that happened to us when we were 6 years old, our body stores that. And unless we work through that, it stays in here. It turns into disease. It turns into anxiety. It turns into all sorts of horrible things. And until we sit with those uncomfortable, hard emotions, we sit in the mud, we will never be able to get it out. But the best news of this all is that Jesus, God, the divine, whatever that is for you, is notorious for taking those mud baths with us. She is not afraid to get messy, dirty, sit with us in it. Just be with us in it, not trying to solve it or fix it for us, but just be with us in it. There's nothing more than I don't think that I'd want than that. And that comes in human form too, when our friends and our families are able just to sit with people, sit with us in that pain, not try to fix it or solve it or explain it away or pray it away or all of those things that I think well-intentioned people do, but they are not helpful, and sometimes they're very harmful. So I just want to encourage you today, next time you see some mud or you read a psalm or a lament in Lamentations, go to that place and close your eyes and let your body experience what you're feeling. I promise you, it will not take you over. It may take you over temporarily, but you will recover. You will recover. And it is so important for your health and your building resiliency and moving forward out of that pain and transmuting that into something else. I don't know what that is for you, but it will transmute and it will get out. It will come out so it doesn't continue to poison you. So those are my words for you today. I know for those of you who follow astrology, there's a full moon in Scorpio this Monday, and that can bring up a lot of raw, very uncomfortable, purging emotions. And so if you find yourself experiencing that, know that it's temporary, but pay attention to it. Deal with it, sit in the mire of it, and ask God to show you what He wants to come from it. So thank you guys. Have a great day.